If you want to get to the truth of what your true soul's desire is, it is somewhere within the answers to those questions. Answering this question really changed my life. What if I told you that you're not stuck, you are faking confusion? I know you feel like you're genuinely stuck. Been there, done that. But on the other side of it now, what I know with certainty is when we often find ourselves in a place where it just feels like we are stuck, it is often a mask for fear. And it is a lot easier to stay confused than it is to be radically, uncomfortably honest with ourselves about our deepest desires and our fear that we are not good enough to bring them to life. If that is you, this is your video because I'm going to break down the exact steps that I took to completely turn around my life and the one question that helped me get clear on what I really want and how to go about getting it so that I've never felt stuck again. If you're new here, I'm Natanya Bravo. I am a business and identity coach, and I'm obsessed with helping you step into the life and business of your dreams. Go ahead and click that subscribe button and like this video, and let's get into it. So, backtrack 10 years ago, I was climbing that ladder of success that society sells us the dream on and really just following the next thing in front of me until I got to a stopping point. I started being really overwhelmed. I felt confused. I didn't really know what I wanted. I couldn't articulate my thoughts. And overall, in every area of my life, I felt stuck. My friendships weren't going how I wanted them. My relationships weren't going how I wanted it. And my professional life was not going how I wanted it. I genuinely believed I was confused. I don't know what I want. I don't know how to get it. I don't know what to do. If that sounds familiar, keep listening. One of my very first epiphanies was actually realizing that I didn't even know who I was. How many of you listening right now are going about your life, checking the next box on the list, stepping on the next level of the ladder, not ever stopping to ask yourself, is this the ladder I want to be on? Is this the list I want to check off? What I realized at this phase of my life where I started to feel stuck is I had become so disconnected from who I am that I no longer knew what was Natanya's idea versus my friend's idea, what Natanya enjoyed doing versus what I thought I should be doing because everyone else is doing it. And it was no wonder that I genuinely felt stuck and confused because I wasn't even connected to myself. One of the very first things that you want to do if you're in a place of feeling stuck in any area of your life and like things aren't working and you don't really know how or what or why is to start to reconnect with self. For me, this was spending solo time. I started taking myself on table for one dates. This was wildly uncomfortable for me because at the time I would have called myself shy and an introvert, but I would literally force myself to get dressed up and go to fancy restaurants in New York City where I was living at the time, sit at a table by myself, order food, not be on my phone, and genuinely just be present with myself. I also spent some time solo traveling. Go somewhere really gorgeous for 5 days. By day 3 by yourself, you're gonna get to know you a lot better. What do I actually enjoy doing? What do I feel like doing? We spend so much of our lives in consensus around what other people around us are doing, what other people we admire do, that we very rarely take a moment to pause and ask self, what do I enjoy or like? This first step on my journey was really a reconnection with self, of cutting out the noise, of really sitting in the silence of being by myself, which, by the way, is wildly uncomfortable if you've never done that before, but oh so necessary. When you start to quiet out the noise outside of yourself, whether indirect or direct, social media, your friends, your family, your colleagues, you start to have a moment to hear your own voice again. After spending some intentional solo time with myself, I started to have a little bit more idea of the direction of things that I was being pulled towards, but I didn't really have a plan. I knew that I needed some accountability, some structure, a sounding board. And this was actually the turning point for me the very first time that I hired a coach in 2013. As someone who is a coach now and has also received and still does receive coaching for myself, I am a huge advocate for the power of a coaching relationship. I recently discovered Strawberry.me, who is kindly sponsoring today's video. Strawberry.me is a platform that connects you with certified coaches to help you move from confusion to clarity and achieve your goals. Just last month, I actually booked a session with one of their coaches because I was feeling overwhelmed as a wife, as a mom, as a business owner. While I see myself as a very self-aware person, it's not always easy to see our blind spots. And I knew I needed a safe place to talk through my ideas and my goals and really find find some tangible solutions to move forward. During the session, my coach asked me what was important to me and really helped me get clear on what are some aligned goals as well as some very specific actions so that I was actually able to take action the very next day after a session. What's great is strawberry.me is not only affordable, but it's really easy to book a session. You take a short quiz on their site to answer what areas of your life you're looking for support with, and within hours, they will match you with a coach. If you are tired of continuously saying one day and want to make today day one, I encourage you to visit strawberry.me and take their short quiz to get matched with a certified coach that is tailored to your needs. After working with my coach for some time, I started to now be ready to actually go and take action. So now not only was I clear on some of my desires, but I actually had a roadmap and a plan of how I would bring those to life. One of the key things for me was not putting pressure on myself to figure it all out. I simply decided to follow curiosity. Anytime I felt any inch of curiosity or maybe some excitement with a little bit of fear mixed in, I decided to follow it. Whether it was going to lead to my purpose or not, I wasn't worried about it. I was simply in an exploration phase. Some things that I did in this time, I took piano classes. This was something that I had in my mind from childhood because I'd taken piano classes as a child and I was like, maybe there's something there. Let me take it up again, even if it's just a hobby. Well, guess what? After one session, I realized, no, that wasn't for me. I also took acting classes that actually put me way out of my comfort zone and helped with some of that introverted, shy personality that I'd taken on that really wasn't mine in the first place. I booked a solo trip to Tulum where I literally booked an Airbnb, stayed by myself, biked to the beach every day, and took yoga classes. I tried new things. I really just allowed my curiosity to follow. And there was a lot of moments in time where I felt uncomfortable. What am I doing? Who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? But I just had to remind myself to give myself the grace of this moment to reconnect with myself and build from a solid foundation. I didn't want to get caught up again in the rat race of simply doing what I think I should be doing, not what is truly aligned for me. And then the big question. This is the question that I always ask to myself or my clients whenever I hear someone say, I don't know what I want. So if that is you and you are at a phase of your life where you are simply questioning, what do you want? And you genuinely feel like you don't know. What I want to remind you, that is a protection mechanism. We always know. And the question that I would encourage you to ask yourself is, if no one would get hurt, if money was not a concern, if time was not a concern, and I knew with certainty that I would succeed, what would I want? The reason I put those items in there is oftentimes we limit ourselves because of those four elements. What people will think about us. Will someone be disappointed? Will someone be let down? Will I maybe be leaving someone behind that I'm afraid to leave behind? And so we want to take that off the table for a moment. Then, of course, money. Money is a real topic in today's society. When we are limited by what we see in our current bank account, we dream smaller. We do not even allow ourselves to go beyond what we can see right now as a possibility based on our current finances. I want you to just take that off the table just for 5 minutes, allowing yourself to play with this. And then when we talk about time, I work with a lot of clients who are maybe retired and starting to think differently about their lives, and they have this concern of, I'm too old. In the same notion, I have other clients who feel like they're too young. And so I wanted to just take time and age off the table for a moment. And last but not least, I think our deepest fear is, what if it doesn't work? What if I do all of this and I fail and I fail publicly? If you knew without a doubt that you were going to succeed, what would you want? You can journal on those four altogether. You can do it individually. But if you want to get to the truth of what your true soul's desire is, it is somewhere within the answers to those questions. Answering this question really changed my life. It is the reason why I quit what was a good job and moved to Paris with no plan and about 5 months of savings. I wouldn't do that if I was looking at the reality of my bank account, if I was worried about my boss being let down because I'm the person on the team that does all of these things, if I was worried about maybe letting down my mom because I got this good, successful job and now I'm just leaving it for who knows what. Taking all of those parameters off the table allowed me to get to my truth. I didn't know what I was going to do in Paris, but I knew I wanted to be there. And that is that first step on that journey. And then last but not least, we've got to address those limiting beliefs, those fears. We cannot shift and move what we are not willing to acknowledge. And so getting really honest with myself about my fear of failing, about my fear of not being good enough, not being smart enough, not being pretty enough. I had to get honest about all of that and put it all on the table. And then gradually allow myself to rewrite those stories. If you watch my scripting video where I talk about the scripting technique of reprogramming your subconscious using red ink, where on one side of the page you are writing your current belief, and on the new side of the page you're writing the belief you're stepping into, right? So I'm not good enough to run a business. I'm smart, I'm capable, I've learned new things. I can learn this. I can learn how to run a business. That is the process of taking the old belief and starting to reprogram that subconscious, those blocks and patterns that come up, to start to step into what is the actual truth here. Are you not good enough? Says who? What's the barometer? So again, I would encourage you to watch that video and also just spend some time really rewriting those. I also shared how I brainwash myself every single day. I'm always listening to some form of affirmations before I go to sleep. I am saying what I want to speak to myself when I wake up. I'm saying in my mind how I want my day to go. That doesn't mean that I don't have days where I have a limiting belief, where I'm afraid something's not going to work, or maybe I'm not going to be able to succeed on YouTube. But I don't allow myself to stay there. I acknowledge it, I rewrite it, and I move on. And that is the opportunity for you as well. This is so, so critical and crucial to moving through this process of feeling like you're stuck in life, like you don't know how, you don't know what, you don't know when. This is an opportunity. If you follow this process and go through this process of one, getting connected to self, shutting out the noise, spending intentional time with yourself in silence. When I say in silence, I don't mean that you need to be in your house doing meditation. I literally mean not being distracted by outside noise. So that means just sitting. And sometimes that's uncomfortable because we feel like we need to be doing something. And that is a sign that it's exactly what you need. And then potentially looking into hiring a coach or finding some sort of community and support system to actually be able to move some of the ideas and clarity that you will get from being alone into action plans and steps to move forward. And then allowing yourself to follow curiosity, to follow excitement without it needing to be the thing that you uncover as your one big thing. When I moved to Paris, I didn't know what that was going to unlock for me. I was simply following excitement and then asking yourself that 4-part question where you are getting uncomfortably honest with self. What's really there for you? What do you want? And last but not least, addressing and rewriting those limiting beliefs. If you are someone that's been struggling with feeling stuck or stagnant in your life in whatever area, I would love to hear from you in the comments. If this video was helpful for you, what are you taking away from this? And if you are feeling bold and daring enough, which I'm going to challenge you to do this, I want you to answer that question, that 4-part question. If money was no object, if time didn't matter, if you knew you would succeed, and if you knew no one would be disappointed or hurt by your actions, what do you want? What is that thing? Leave it in the comments, and I cannot wait to read and connect with you, and I will see you on the next one.